Wow, that was really weird. Cool. I've never had my phone do that before. So it shut off in the middle of that. Maybe someone from a black hole didn't want me to explain this. So what we were saying is that I have a wild, crazy supposition from a non-scientist, non-astronomer mind, and it says that the black hole hasn't left this universe. It's still here. It's still relating to us. It's still pulling stuff into it. It is still here. It hasn't bent the entire universe, and created a wormhole from it to another part of the universe. It hasn't, I don't believe this whole thing, because you have to bend. It takes so much power and control to bend the universe like this. And how do you, or are you think you're stretching this to another? I just don't. I don't like the model. It seems preposterous to me, and a lot of aspects of it require too much explanation. And it still doesn't answer the question I have about it constantly still exerting this energy. And I know it kind of doesn't make sense, but here's what I think is going on instead. I think it's more like this. And that all the matter in its most subatomic, stripped, ripped apart, raw form, sub-particular, maybe who knows what, is down here deep somewhere. And if it's rotating, you're going to have your couchy space here. And then you'll have your advanced horizon, of course, here. And then the singularity would actually be lowered down into it, just before the big final chamber. So, I think that's a model where it hasn't left, the matter hasn't left our universe. Now, and Einstein predicted that there would be white holes, but we don't see any. Perhaps in terms of time, they've already happened in our universe, or perhaps they will happen later, or are happening very rarely now across the universe, because there hasn't been enough time to build up enough matter to get to the point, or whatever factors, the space-time metric, who knows what, where this energy is then released in a white hole, radiated in a white hole. I don't know about all of the Hawking radiation stuff and how that applies, and how everything's supposed to stay, matter's supposed to stay on a hologram. That might just be how it visually appears from the outside, like when you see a reflection on water, but there really is a deeper layer. There actually is water in a jar and stuff underneath. It's not the reflection. That's conceivable to me. Anyway, hopefully there's an astronomer or physicist who could tell me that I'm not completely nuts in some of those assumptions. Let's go back here for a second. Okay, so we are in this safe space. 4.6 billion years. The von Neumann probe and the Fermi paradox state that our galaxy should have been, colonized many, many, many times. It's highly logical to assume that the first thing a species would do would send out a bunch of von Neumann probes. And the probe, if I was a advanced civilization or an alien, I would just send out a probe that monitors solar systems, the good ones, and constantly monitors them. It's just one probe. And when it comes to a good likely system, that probe will go to a great hiding spot. And inside the probe are two of those fabricators that we've spoken about before, that have a pressurized electro solution, zero gravity, and manipulators and resonators, and can lay down material at basically an atom at a time, a molecule at a time, and grow different things. And it licks basically surface by surface to bring the craft into one piece. The whole craft appears as one piece, like it was molded or poured. And as time passes, you can make more and more of these fabricators. And the fabricators can build basically anything. So the more fabricators you have over time, of course, your production increases. So to build a large spaceship would take a long time with one. But of course, the number of fabricators grows very quickly, and then the population grows. So you would start first with the fabricators. You'd build a factory, and it'd be a multi-purpose factory. The factory would not only design craft based on the necessity or the technology level of any civilization that's in the, there's no need for them, if they're thousands of years more advanced, to be thousands of years more advanced appearing than us. They can visually prefer to appear 75, 100 years ahead of us, just to be within the range of our rationality. Past that, it just takes on a too surreal perspective. At this level of difference between the technologies, it kind of inspires us. But of course, I think they can appear like anything. So those fabricators can even build biological workers, because there's some things that a robot just can't do, or a craft just can't do. There's fine tuning and researching and things. And so they can have all of these beings be second generation life forms, meaning created. And they can be created at such a level as to be, absolutely staggeringly more efficient than a human being. They're a combination of, biological and, ultra technical, and there would be a leader and two helpers, usually on a smaller ship. There's a lot of different factors that go into the whole creature aspect of it. And they can serve as avatars for the primary civilization. The primary civilization can see through the eyes of the avatars when they want to. There's a couple wonderful secrets in here that I don't think some people have figured out. Ways to understand and to gather more information on this topic and these species and these possibilities. Some very proactive things that maybe they're being done in secret, but and I'm not talking about just the silly little ones like satellites and stuff like that obviously. So anyway, this is a really delicate balance here. Technology just 500 years ahead of us could create something like this. And that one von Neumann probe that comes with the fabricators could in time build literally an army of biological soldiers and thousands of different craft, because it's the factory that does it. But they follow a protocol, and it's a series of actions. And that's what they're doing and have been. And these actions are actually predictable now, based on interactions we've had in the past and what they have chosen to do. You can't trust someone's words necessarily, but actions speak loudly. So there's a bunch of things and little clever thoughts, and one that I just came up with the other day, I'm stunned I hadn't thought of before, ways that we can and should communicate, be able to communicate. Anyway, so we may not be dealing with any biologicals at all. We may be dealing with a post-biological, quote-unquote, artificial civilization that has just sent out one von Neumann probe that has come to our galaxy. And, it was made in our galaxy and gone to our little space. In time, our factory, which has built all these different spaceships, perhaps over time, this is just one, notion, would also make a couple von Neumann probes, and they would go off exploring to keep the mojo going, so to speak. So, just to think for a second, Earth is 4.6 billion years old. We're pretty advanced here. I think that in this band right here, we would find some less advanced civilizations, intelligent civilizations. And if we go exactly this way, we would find more advanced civilizations, because they're going down the drain and they would have had the time to be exactly what we were when we were. So we might be able to find the levels of civilizations based on their distance from us in between the bands. We can get a supposition that way. So if we were going to go exploring, I think I would explore this way rather than this way. But we're actually already communicating and talking all different directions right now. I'm just going to say we're back again to doing CE5s, and wow, everything you see, it's just wow. Anyway, guys, what do you think about these possibilities? What do you think about the von Neumann probe false aliens? Well, not really false, but we have this whole supposition that they're all alive. They're all alive. Yes, they can be alive, but they're not the primary civilization. And I think most primary civilizations will go post-biological very quickly. Non-biological, post-biological. Most, if not all. And that would make for a very quiet and perhaps heartlessly indifferent universe. And I certainly believe that there would unquestionably be a concern amongst the biologicals versus the incredible efficiency of the non-biologicals. And I could foresee lots of biologicals cooperating in order to preserve as much biological matter across the universe as possible. Guys, fucking think about it for a second. I'm sorry to curse. I'm sorry if there's any kids here, but we are in a mass extinction. I mean, I want to get up and scream because the average person doesn't realize we have mortgaged our children's future, our great-grandchildren's future. The time to act is now. There is so many different morbid things happening, things that could kill us, growing at a rate different than any other point in history. Things are possible now that can kill all of us that weren't possible 20 years ago. And the amount of these accumulating keeps building. There's a convergence of morbid possibilities. We know about the pole flip. We know already about all these geological things. I mean, aside from being gamma ray bursted, I mean, aside from an accident, just a technological accident, pandemics, but there's so many other things. And it's obvious when you look at our planet and you look at the resources versus the population growth and the environmental destruction that we are literally like heaping great adversity and heartlessness. You know, right now our kids cannot go anywhere in our country, America, and pull a fish out of the water that isn't toxic somehow. It's so sad. There's a little dolphin called the vaquita. It's like a 3-foot dolphin and actually has a smile. It's the cutest, most intelligent little thing you've ever seen. And if anyone saw that little sucker in the face, how could you say, you know, I gotta feed my family, fuck that little dolphin? Knowing that there's only literally 30 left in the world. And it was 50 a couple years ago, and soon they will slip into extinction and be gone forever. Guys, your fancy car doesn't matter. Your great suit doesn't matter. Your huge bank account doesn't matter. Hey, get yourself a great life if you want. We're at the peak of civilization. There is zero doubt. We cannot continue like this. We're at the peak of civilization. If you want, this is your quote-unquote life. This is your character. You can be self-indulgent and you can do you, and the universe will facilitate it. But you're part of the problem. You're destroying us. You're killing us. And the time for us to get off the planet and save ourselves, or as many of us as possible, and our species. And guys, no one person can solve all of this. If any parents are out there, I ask you this, and I ask everyone in Congress this, and I ask everyone in TTSA this. If you have children, what do you teach them? Do you teach them when they meet a young stranger that's their age, or when they meet another kid that's a stranger, do they go and fight? Is the first thing are you supposed to fight first if you disagree, or you're scared, or you're worried, or you don't know them? Or are you supposed to try and communicate? What do you teach your kids? We're not doing that with these visitors. And perhaps by their past actions, we can tell not only are they not hostile, but perhaps they are doing something that we would be so grateful for. And we attack again and again. There's a tremendous history, impeccable, you can't fight it. The evidence is too high. Jet fighters from across the world, the Iranian case, the Peru case with General Jafari in Iran. Forget the Peru guys. I mean, there's on and on and on. Of course, the Nimitz. When they lock on missiles and try and shoot down these craft, instead of blasting us out of the sky or killing us, they simply turn off our weapons and leave. And the U.S. government won't tell you this, but our nuclear sites have been basically the most dangerous sites in our country, the most sensitive ones, have been invaded by an unknown entity who's come in and turned off our missiles. The government won't tell you that, but have killed a bunch of missiles. Turned them off. And they don't know how the crap they did it. Could it be us from the future begging ourselves, please, We can't physically involve with you because we'll break the timeline. And it's okay to be a mysterious thing, but please, for the love of God, save us in the future. Stop the suffering that's going to happen. And I know a lot of my friends are going to be pissed off at me for saying this. I'm not trying to be fear boy. This is reality. Evil only survives when good people do nothing. And this is really what's going on. There's no intergalactic love wave going to come through and save everybody. God has tremendous power in her hands. The problem is, we are her hands. I love you.